All right, ladies and gents. Let's see. What's the chances, folks, we get through today without any problems? What am I going to do here? I'm going to do that. And then, should I get a battery now, or should we just leave it right till the end? Let me get a battery. All right, folks. Shall we begin? First of all, hello to everyone. Hello to everyone. Now, what you should notice is that the internet is working perfectly. So, to combat what happened last week, if this stream drops out, because I still haven't gotten the longer cable for my camera, or I mean from my phone to get internet in this place, if it drops out, I'm just going to restart the stream. So I guess don't close the window, I think was the problem last week, is people closing the window. So don't do that. Okay. Well, let's see. Should we say hello to people before we get going here? What do we got here? Okay, what do we got? The Sandman, the world's best wrestling name. What up, Sandman? Goldberg doesn't know where Massachusetts is. Zwyers. What up, Zwyers? From the Netherlands. Let's see what's happening. What time is it there? Okay. All right. Anamorphic is right. Now this is the 80 mil, and this is the worst of the Lomo lenses. But the 50 is getting serviced, so that's why we are a little bit tighter. What up, Justin? You know what time it is. Okay, so if you got questions, if you're new to the live stream, I'll give the little spiel. Easiest spot to leave comments is in the YouTube section, so I can actually see them as we're going. And this is it. We're just going to look at a project. I don't know whose project this is. I believe could be Joaquim's, could be Ricardo's. Who knows? If this is your project, claim it. It was in the comment section, and I just didn't write it down, and now I can't go back and check. So if this is yours, let us know. It is, what is it? It's a guy on some sort of app. Should we scroll through it so we know exactly what we're seeing? Here's a little kid. He's running around. I encourage everyone to go to the Patreon page so you can see it. This is a guy. He's looking at his phone. There he is with the nighttime. Ooh. In the office. Little product shot. Lots of stuff going on. So this is it, right? Not super complicated, but some nice stuff in there and some stuff that we can talk about. So that's what we're going to be doing. What do we got? Okay, so should we do questions before we get into the stream? Let's do it. What do we got? What up, Sean Townend? Okay, this one's from Neil. On average, how many directors do you work with within a year? I guess it's all dependent. But at the end of every year, so coming up now, we're going to do it again in December. I do a little year-end review, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, if I go back and listen to that episode, I'm going to guess it's probably somewhere in the range of 20 to 25 in a given year. Some people I've worked with, some people I'll do. I know a director now, we actually had him on the podcast, Kari Jones. I'll probably do 4 or 5 ads with him this year, and it's only September. So some people you work with a lot, and some people you don't work with near as much. So yeah, it varies. Auckland, Jesus Christ, New Zealanders. LA all day, what up? The Ricardo, what dual battery mount do you use for your camera? I use the Switronics. That's a hard word to say. Yeah, Switronics. Is that how you say it? Switronics. I think so. I use, it's just called a shark fin. Switronics. Switronics. Whatever. I use a shark fin. It's on B&H. If you Google shark fin, it comes up. But that's the one that I use. And I don't really use it that much though. Because a lot of the times, even if it's a handheld commercial, it's always on the block batteries when it's not on someone's shoulder or when it's not on the Easy Rig. So it goes straight from the Easy Rig. You put it on the little, some first ACs do it differently. I like to have just a little camera dolly, not an actual dolly, but just like a little camera cradle. It comes on a little tiny rolling baby stand, and it has like a wooden box. I think there's a guy in LA that makes them. Burns Box. BIRNS box. Burns Box. And it's like a little camera cradle that holds them up. And it goes from the Easy Rig. You just plop it on there. Usually it's standing right next to where I'm standing. If I've got the Easy Rig on, you pop off the quick release, smack it on that thing, and then it goes straight back on the block battery. So I don't really spend that much time with the dual. I'd probably use the dual more if I had a mini, but on the XT, go straight from block to single battery to try and keep it as light as possible. Yeah, Burns Box, that's the one. Okay. Let's do, what do we got here? Mel? This is Mel. Maybe this is a little off topic, but how would you light a campfire scene on a beach? Oh, Jesus, that is off topic. Mel hitting us with the lighting questions. I have a shoot coming up with that kind of scene. Campfire on a beach at night. How much cash you got? How much cash? And what are we looking at? Are we looking at student short film? Or are we looking at, it's a commercial? Yes, Ricardo, it's Burns Box, I believe. Any current thoughts on the Venice in TVC world? Seems popular for episodic work. I have used it once with the M8s. Oh, what did you think? I love the little M8s. The M8s are essentially what I'm getting done to my Leica lenses, except mine will be completely rehoused. So full frame, Leica, super fast. Very nice. How often do you reach out? Oh, sorry, I didn't even answer the question. The Venice? Well, I'll tell you this. I messaged Khalid when, I forget what he had posted. He had posted something, and I messaged him about the Venice. I said, what do you think? And he said it was his favorite camera. His favorite camera to use at the current time. He would be using it for as much stuff as he possibly could. So even though it is super battery hungry, even though it's a huge workflow pain in the ass, if you have the clout and the ability to bring in whatever camera you want, I would definitely take a look at it. If there was one in Australia, I would probably take a look at it. I know I played with them all during Cine Gear, but it's not quite the same as a production environment. So thoughts are, I love the fucking internal NDs. The only problem with the internal NDs, which Sony did not think about, is there goes $100 from your day rate. Because now they got internals, which is a bit of a bummer. But I like it from a fucking purely selfish point of view. Okay, here we go. How often, this one's Logan, how often do you reach out to directors, producers versus how much do they reach out to you? I reach out in the sense that I'm asking for a job. I never ask for a job. I never say, hey, I'd love to collaborate. I never say any of that stuff. I say, hey, that project that you did, I really liked it. Good job. And that's it. And then they usually respond, thanks so much. Say, cool, thumbs up. And just trying really to get on. I mean, I'm not even trying to get on the radar. I actually like the work, so I reach out in that regard. I'm not trying to scheme. I'm at the point now where if you want someone to do a job and you're looking for that person and it happens I'm in the world of that job, then they usually find you. you don't, at a certain level, you don't go saying to, I don't know, directors who are very well established, hey, I can shoot your project, because they know that. They've got lots of people that think the same thing. So try and do, it's like, Dimitri on the show this week. Was he a little bit crazy? Yeah. Yeah, it was weird. He didn't work for 2 years. He lied about making music videos and made up a whole story and faked everything, and eventually got repped by a really good company. It was weird. It's a weird story. I don't know if something you want to emulate, but the thing that was interesting to me was something he said, which was, you just create the work and eventually it'll get better. And it's true. Nobody knows how much you have to shoot something. Nobody knows that I did a UWA ad. I did this ad of this woman running around the world. We couldn't have done that cheaper. Actually impossible. It looks expensive because you can't see that there's only 3 people behind the camera. So, and then that job got me a Techno Crane job, which they thought we used the Techno Crane for some of that stuff. I was like, yeah, we did. I'm not going to say no. I won't say no, we didn't. Okay, let's do another one here. Hey, Patrick, do you usually keep the same stop for the whole scene when switching lenses? Yes. Yes, that's sort of standard practice, because it's not just me that once you start changing stops, it's not just me that you're fucking with. You're really screwing with everybody. And even though the ratios will stay the same, there's a whole lot of people that you got to think about. I just got to check that fucking beeping phone. You know what I mean? It's not as easy as you just saying, well, I'm just going to switch the stop now. Let me just change this for a second. It's like, okay, we're going to change the stop. That means we got to change a filter. That means we got to swap the filter. That means the first AC's got to say it. The second AC's got to go get it. We got to change it out. The director's got to sit there. Everyone's got to sit there. So sometimes, no, the short answer is no. I don't really change it. But I don't really set to a stop. In commercials, it's pretty standard practice that you're just shooting wide open all the time. Or I guess that's what I tell the AC. Just set it to wide open, and then we'll manage it from there. Okay, what else we got? We got Josh, thanks for the critiques last week. Good stuff, yeah. You're welcome, and thanks for sending in the project. Because, that's how we learn. Looking at that stuff, trying to find ways. And I understand the thing about the clients. They're always trying to fucking sneak in. But, yeah, you got to pick your battles. I'm also shooting a campfire scene. Everyone's doing the campfire scenes. Okay, let's do a few more here. Student film, 30,000 PHPs. Okay. You got no cash. You want to do a film scene at night on the beach. And you want it to be dark. If you want it to be dark like nighttime, there's not a whole lot you can do. I'd put like an aperture China ball as high as I could possibly get it, and just backlight everybody with that, with blue from behind and fire from the front, and then extend the fire with whatever LED you can, preferably RGB. You probably can't have a sky panel out there, but you could have like a little Kino Select. Okay. Hey, Tom Hanks made a full fake resume when he was on the come up as well. Yeah, everyone does it. It's just our boy Dimitri took it to the extreme. Nicholas, sorry if this has been asked in a previous, but any thoughts on the Atlas lenses? Think they're a good investment. Well, the Atlas is tricky, and any of the cheap anamorphics, I guess, are tricky. Any of the cheap anythings are tricky. I don't know a single person that made their money back on CP2s, because if you have a production, nobody wants CP2s. So that means you got to rent them out to short film people, to low-end music video people. Anybody that has the budget is going to skip over CP2s. Atlas makes sense if you are in an environment that has zero anamorphics. You can get in for cheap. You could probably charge a shitload at the beginning, but then you just are hoping no one else gets anamorphics in town. if you're in like Los Angeles and you get a set to try and make money off of, maybe if you're shooting tons and you can get them out on your own jobs, but I wouldn't count on anybody renting those things out. First of all, the set, last time I looked, it was a 3-lens set, really hard to rent out to any production scale. They're nice. I mean, I saw them at, what did I see them? Cinegear. I had a little play with them at Cinegear. They're nice. They're built nice. The thing, it looks good, but a lot of stuff looks good. And in the commercial world, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but this is how it works. The more expensive shit is easier in every sense. Easier to make money, easier to rent out, easier to pay off, not easier to buy because it's expensive. But you never get any pushback. I mean, yeah, you never get any pushback. So I would say it all depends on your situation. If you got a lot of gigs where you can get them out, why not? But they look cool. How do you currently allocate your time to DPing, podcasting, and family? Well, luckily enough, my wife, who gets back, lands at the airport in approximately 1.5 hours. She's been away in Italy for 2 weeks with my daughter. So I have been living that bachelor life. So I've been able to get lots of work done. Fucking finished a lot of shit at this studio. So how do I allocate? I do, when I'm not DPing, I sneak in the podcast. The DPing stuff comes first. And if I know I have a lot of work coming up, like October already, there's 4 shoots in October, so I know it's going to be busy, so I'll have to find little moments to do the podcast. And family, DPing, you have so much time off. You got a fuckload of time off. So it's fun. Okay, shall we look at this one? This little view, this little box down here. Oh, Patrick. And then what did we do this week? I turned off, there's this little top light up here. I turned that off. On the 80, didn't look great. We still got the magic cloth. Blue light. Okay, enough chit chat. Shall we get into this breakdown? Let's do it. Okay. I need my little pen tool. Okay, we are looking at a dude, and he is in a house. And now, feel free, ladies and gentlemen, in the comment section, feel free to shout out what we think I'm going to say here. Did anybody actually claim this project? Is this yours, Ricardo? Someone's out there. Okay. If it is somebody out there, just claim it. We got a guy, he's in a kitchen. And this little boy, he's running around in the kitchen. We got a little product shot. We got a man laughing. He's having a good time. Now he's asleep. Now he's really asleep. Woman in the office, she's out there making that cash. While our boy's sitting at home doing fuck all. And was that supposed to be the son? That dude on the couch? Couldn't be, because he's locked in the house. Product shot. Mom. Kid. Punk kid at night. Dad. Lady in the airport. Product shot. That's it. Okay. So this is what we're looking at. We are inside of a kitchen. Number one thing that we will see in this setup. Let's just scroll through this first. This initial sequence. You got 1, 2, 3, 4. You got 4 shots in this environment. Okay. But the blocking and the angles are all taken by, well, they're all predicated on this opening wide shot. This will set our lines. This is all set what angles we're shooting from. This sets everything that we're doing. So it's an interesting choice, this particular angle. And I would imagine they chose this because they wanted to shoot into the kitchen to show it off. That would be why, I think that would be why you would choose this angle. Because inside of this kitchen, as in most kitchens that are tucked away inside of a house or inside an apartment, whatever this is, there's no windows. So you can't come with any light from there, which means you probably have to come from the living room side over here, which means we're going to be throwing light this way. Now, why is this bad? This is not ideal because that means we're throwing light in the direction that we're shooting. So we aren't going to be able to shoot into the light. which, as you know, leads to this. This is what it leads to. You see how that's all one tone? It's really, really hard to get any interest in there because the background is doing the same thing. Let's, for a moment, discount that or forget about the fact that we're inside of a kitchen and there's white walls everywhere. Okay, let's imagine this was a different color kitchen. So we don't have to worry about that for the time being. Still, if you're lighting from this way and you're shooting this way, you still get all this wash. You still get all the same level. It's only made worse because of the white walls. So that's bad. What's good is, I mean, at least this is in shadow, right? That creates some sort of depth. This little foreground element is in shadow. That's nice. The problem is going to be that when this little boy runs by, he's going to get hotter because he's closer to the lamp. It feels like the lamp is just here. It's almost like you can see the flag that they tried to keep it off the wall to give it some shape. You feel that. So what are the solutions here? Well, if we were on the Tech Scout and nothing had been decided yet, my suggestion would be, why don't we shoot over here and we'll shoot this way? The answer probably, like I said, would be because we want to see the kitchen. And say, okay, if we want to see the kitchen and we want to shoot this angle, rather than being this wide, this is a fairly wide lens, and we're in really close to this chair, why don't we back up? Again, I don't know the location, but this is just in our imaginary world. We're going to back up this way, and we're going to go this way. Okay, we're going to go back and to the right. And by going back and to the right, we're going to go on a slightly longer lens. So we're going to compress the space, which means we can bring in the fixtures into closer areas because we don't see as much, right? If we back up, we're going to see more. To cancel out seeing more and still be able to use the light, we're going to go on a slightly longer lens. Then what you're going to do is you're going to put this guy, you're going to try and get him as far away from this wall as possible. You want to pull him out with you. So as we step back into the right, he steps back into the right. What we're trying to do is create separation because he's so close to that back wall that it's going to be very hard to get separate light on him and on the background. And remember, we're always trying to create that contrast and to create that that layer of depth. And it's really hard to do if you're standing right on the wall. So that would be the first suggestion. Then we are going to angle the light so it's shining that way as opposed to shining this way. So we use the light probably where it is now, but because our talent comes forward, the light now starts to aim away from the wall, if you're following what I'm saying. So that would be my suggestion here. Now that I spent so much time talking about this particular shot because that then dictates the light direction on every other shot. So you know you're setting the entire mood. One thing, even if you're going to go this way, one thing to look out for is the uplight here. You know, that's a sign that something is amiss. So I would shy away from trying to get. I mean, it's nice because it makes it not look like a set because you can see the ceiling. But if you start to get light and shadows going up like that, it just feels always feels a little bit weird to me. Okay, so that's that particular shot. Now we go into this one. Now we're talking. Now we got a good angle. And I'm imagining, I don't know if this is the case, but I'm imagining that this is just the camera turning around and we just happen to be in this space, right? Now we got good things happening here. Even though we're in the same shitty white wall environment with white everywhere, you got good contrast because you got this window, which there is a little bit of heat coming through, but it's not blown out. It's not shitty. You can't see out it though, which is good. You got the blinds angled the right way. You got a little bit of haze where you can see the shafts coming through. That's awesome. You got this little hot spot, which I imagine is coming from the next window down, which looks to be slightly hotter, which means the background is going to be darker because the second window is hot, not the first window that's in the shot, which is again good, right? Keeping the window that's in the shot a little bit down. The window that you're lighting from, go crazy. I guess the question would be, or the decision that you have in this particular situation is how much do we fill in? And your choice, Rick, was to fill in quite a bit. You got a lot of bounce coming back in here. You know, if we're going for that single source vibe, you got a lot of bounce. So I would say just take that down a little bit. Take that bounce down a little bit, create a little bit more shape, and it just wards off the flatness because you got so much working against you here. Again, parked up right in the corner. This is a little tiny small space. You can imagine if that wall was you know, another 10 feet back, how much more dynamic the shot would be, just creating that space. So to create some interest, if you want, say you want a little edge here, I would just go smaller and higher and let him, because he's running in the shot, the little boy, let him run through it. And then, so to go from darkness to light, as opposed to just always having him filled in. That would be my thing. Let me change this battery. Man, these block batteries, that wasn't even 20 minutes. Okay. So that would be my suggestion for this, just taking down that fill, just that little bit, because you've done well with the outside light. You've done well with keeping it as much as you can off the walls. You know, it feels darker in this little zone. The color palette is an interesting choice, but probably not your thing. Okay, now we get into the product shot, and this is beautiful light on the product shot. This is where I see this is super speeds. This is like your classic super speed softness. This is what you want. In commercials, you got a fucking boring as shit background. Get rid of that thing. Get it out of there. And this looks like a 35 mil. And it's nice the 35 mil for product shots, because you get that sense of the human proportions. It's not super flat. You can see a little bit around the product. It's nice. You can tell, obviously, that this screen is not real because it's all in focus. That would not happen in the real world. You can see on his hand just which bit is in focus. It's literally probably just that plane. Everything else is out. But this is nice. Interesting. Nice. Don't get me wrong. But interesting that you would choose this option for the product shot, because I mean, I guess it all comes back to that first angle in the wide shot. But I would think my initial sort of go-to would be, I'd want him with the other hand holding it up, so that the light sort of poured over that way, as opposed to pouring over the short side. If that makes any sense. Because then you get this, I don't know. I mean, I like this shot. It looks nice. But I would want, I don't know. I don't know why I would naturally lean to having him hold it out that way, like this. Probably because, you know, then you get that fall off of light. You get much more darkness in the shot. That would be my, but I like it. Done well. The softness is really nice. And like I said, all of the shit out of focus is really nice. Okay, Elliot. Hey, Pat, can you elaborate on uplight you were talking about in that top corner 2 shots ago? Yes. Yes, I can, Elliot. This, you see how it's lit up there? You see how you can see the shadow? It might be hard for you guys to see. Anyway, watch the ad. You can see the shadow up there. And what that looks like is it looks like it's a really big, like an 8x8 or a 12x12 inside this house that is going everywhere. And normally, if it was daylight coming from outside, unless it was like, I don't know, just before sunset, and you had gigantic windows and nothing blocking your horizon, maybe you would get that angle of light. But what's generally going to happen is it's going to hit the shears, if there are shears there, or if there's no shears, it's going to hit the ground. It's going to be even darker up there. You know, it's going to be darker here, so it's not going to be lit up. So it doesn't feel like you're pushing light at it. Right now, this feels like we're pushing light into the scene. And that's that number one thing that generally we're looking out for. We don't want to feel like we're pushing stuff into anything. And this compounds it. That contrast difference to then this difference compounds that sake. So that's what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about the angle of the light. And if we were in here in this situation and it looked like this, the workaround would be just put a top chop in there and let it go. Okay. We did the product shot. Now here we come to this one. So what we have now is it's a sun sandwich without the sun. This is a lighting sandwich. So we pushed light in on the wide shot from this direction. So now we got to stick with that when we get to this direction. And I can see now you wanted him holding it in that right hand. Okay. But you see how we changed the direction of the light here. It's a lot more powerful and it's coming much more straight on. And we go back to this shot, the light is now coming this way. It's much flatter here on his hand, which is all cool. You can cheat away. But if he was holding it in his other hand, we could come around this way more, use this light, and instead of pushing light back at him, we could just put a bounce here and wrap the light around this way because he would be facing this direction, right? Eyeballs, nose, smiling this way. So then sunlight coming in that way, bounce coming in this way. Jesus, does anybody... Can anybody make sense of what I'm actually doing? That is what you would do. Okay? But because we've gone this direction with the blocking and the talent's action, now we're forced into the situation where this light here is just coming out of nowhere. That's just bounce light. How do I make this thing stop? Stop. And it feels lit. So only way around that is changing the direction very early on in the shot. Once you get here, you're pretty much fucked. But, you know, you've done well to get it exposed, I guess. You got lamp here coming this way. You got your little bright daylight coming in that way. I mean, it is nice. It is nice that you get this bit, right? You got the right angle on that light. That's nice. That little reflective bit, it's just a little bit hotter than what's hitting him from the front. But then again, you get, it's just so much flatness, so much of the same level all the way across that we're not really dipping into the shadows and we're not really getting hot highs out here either. Not that you want super hot highs, but you know, it's all looking quite flat. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Here we go. This is the old gag shot, right? You'll probably, oops, what's going on here? This shot where you go, because I think earlier he has this tungsten light on, then he switches that off, this goes on, then that switches off and he goes to this. This shot happens all the time. Again, like one of those tabletop shots. This is again, and this is where you think, well, you know, budgets don't really matter. Once you have all the same gear, budgets don't really matter. A shot like this is where budget matters. You get like, I don't know, Hoyt van Hoytma, and he's shooting this job and it's for Dior or something, and it's this guy and he's sitting there asleep in his apartment. I'll tell you what's not going to happen. You are not going to have a wall that's gray directly behind him. You're going to have an apartment that's way bigger, it's way nicer, so that you have depth here. Because this light here, you couldn't feel this light. I mean, this is good level. You couldn't feel this light near as much if this giant wall wasn't lit up behind him. The scene would feel so much darker if that wall was 15 feet further back. Like, using depth to get you out of trouble is a big thing. A lot of times the cinematographers say, you come into this spot, this is the set that we're working with, this is the solution that we have to come up with, and I think you've done a good job. It does sort of feel, I don't know if this is supposed to be a TV light or what this is supposed to be, but it does sort of feel like it's being pushed in at a slightly close angle to the camera. If you flatten it off and you went around this way with the light a little bit more, just to get a little edge here as opposed to just crushing it with flatness. That would be my only suggestion. But nice that you're shooting through some stuff, making the boring thing a little bit less boring. And good shape on him You know, you got a little bit of shadow. You got some shadow there, which is nice. Like I said, I was just maybe slightly move it around a little bit more. And then maybe top chop get rid of this, because that feels like just a little bit filled in. And then you go to the next one, and this is good moon vibe. You know, you want the thing about moonlight is you think, oh, it's got to be low and it's got to be dim, but what you want is really hard light, because in the darkness, if you go soft, it just all fills in and looks like shit. This is nice because you can see the shadow on the wall. That's hard. You can see the shadows on his face is hard, and yes, he's lit up, right? But this is TV lighting. This is movie sort of darkness. This is how you do it. So, yeah, I mean, I think this angle is really good. You got the shadows, and the hard shadows is what sell the moonlight, and you've done it. Okay, next one. Here we go, Lady in the Office. Okay. Lady in the Office, this is an interesting choice of direction of light. Again, much like the wide shot previously, the blocking here and the framing plays a big role in how you can light, especially the frame. I mean, that goes without saying that the frame that you set will dictate where you can light from and where the light should be coming from and how natural it feels, which is dictated by the frame. If you were going to make this feel natural, what you would do is you would probably have, I don't know, you'd probably have 212s or 218s out the window here. You'd want them just above window height so that they created this line going down. It would light the back of her head, bring her out, but then this would be really down. This would be really, really down. The way that you would play that, if you wanted this angle, is that you play this like half a stop over this light, and then you bounce back in half a stop under. So you would have maybe a little 6x here, just this way. And then you're bouncing like this way, shadow here, bounce over here, and then backlight in there. Now, Rick has gone for another approach, which is much less, I mean, you don't need near the budget, because you're going to be doing all your lighting from inside. What it looks like is this is overcast day, just natural. This is inside our building this way. And he's just put a big soft source that is slightly warmer, right? It looks like probably like a quarter CTO on a daylight lamp, just slightly warmer. And it's from over here, it's going this way, which, if we think about it, doesn't make a whole lot of sense, right? To have that much level coming back this particular direction. So if you wanted to play this with this big fronty light rather than a big backlight, easy solution would be to flop the sides. You'd be looking into a different part of the room though, so it may not be as interesting. But you swap sides, you don't see the windows, you see into the office, and then you use those windows as your soft key, and then you neg this side of the camera, you neg everything. So you just put up a big T-bar, maybe 2 12-bys in this conference room, and that's how you get some contrast, because they do have white walls. And then you can shape the background. You know, you can add some hard light even from inside the room, because you're not really seeing that much of the room. That's how you would get around that. But as it stands now, this is sort of sun sandwichy, because we got light coming from really where it shouldn't be coming from. But nice. I mean, the colors are nice, and it all feels good. It's just, and maybe I'm speaking out of turn, maybe I'm completely incorrect, but doesn't it feel like there's a light that's hitting her? Am I the only person that feels this? Am I the only person that's watching this? You guys are a chatty bunch. Okay, I see how it's going to be. So I'd do that. That's for this one. Let's go to the next one. This is a product shot. Now we're talking. Now we got things going. This is a fucking beautiful product shot. This is nice, right? How are you going to fault this? Someone out there fault this. I doubt it. I think that's good. I think you got nice shadow here. You got good framing on the actual product itself. Good angle. Good height relative to what you want to see. VFX has done a nice little matte blur for you there. I think it's nice. Can't fault you for the angle of the book, the notepad. This is a white notepad, but it's not too white. It's not too bright. This is nice. It's a little bit leveled up, the VFX. It feels good. And that's what you get from those super speeds, right? You get that little bit of augment blur. This looks like a post blur. But the super speeds wide open, they do give you that little bit of softness, which is nice. Oh, thank you, Ricardo, for letting me know that I'm not alone in my estimations. I'm sure Rick will appreciate it. Okay. Here we go again. We are back with Our Lady. Now, first things first. This is where the blurred line of how much do you interject if you are the cinematographer. How much do you interject? And I'm not talking about lighting, I'm not talking about framing or anything. This is just performance. There comes a point in time where you will be sitting at the monitor and you will think to yourself, this could definitely be better. This could be better than it is now, but it has nothing to do with lighting and it has nothing to do with framing. Do I make the bold move to offer some suggestions to the talent, to the director? Do I pipe up or do I just sort of let it go? And the decision will come down to you. Well, you know how much you want to participate. If you've got a good relationship with the director, if everyone's happy on set and everything's going well, you may chime in a little bit more. If you're behind and shit's not going well and the director's a bit of a bag of shit, maybe you just leave it. I don't know what Rick's situation is here, but this is a classic example where if I'm looking through the eyepiece and I see this, I would think to myself, okay, what's the current situation? How much do I care? Am I going to be that person? And I would say, how would I go about this? I would probably say to the director at playback, if we're sitting on the dolly and we're sitting here on the dolly and this shot comes up, we do the first take and this is what it looks like. I would say, okay, let's get playback. Just give us 1 sec to the AD. Yeah, give me 1 sec. I just want to check this thing. Can you play that back? Run that back and just pause it. So playback would run it back and pause it. And I'd walk over to this, fucking waddle over to the director. Be like, it's looking good. I like this setup. This is great. Is it weird that she's got, we did all this work to make her look pretty and she's got her hair like this? Is that, because it would look, it looks okay now. It would look really good if she just get her hair back. I don't know if that goes with the story or whatever, but I think, is that something I should be watching for if that hair comes forward, or you don't care? And then you put it on them. They say, oh, I don't care. You go, if they say I don't care, I would still go up into the talent and I'd be like, hey, that was great. Hey, just take that back just a little. And hope the director didn't hear. And then if the director said, hey, what's their hair doing back like that? I'd go, hey, well, I don't know. Let's, I think it was more forward. And then you just sort of look at the talent and you're like, oh, sorry. But that's what I would say. I would say, get this fucking hair out of our beautiful, this is your moment to shine, actress. How many commercials do you get a year as a commercial actress? Maybe 4? This is your close-up. People, your family and friends, they're going to be looking at this thing on TV. We're going to have hair in your face? I can't do that to you. Let's try and make you look nice. So I would say, yeah, get that hair and push it back. Okay, but then we're in the same situation as the wide, right? We could have gone one direction with this interior shoot, and this is the difference in cinematographers. This is where different views come to light. It's a beautiful light. You got a nice nose shadow here. If this fucking hair wasn't here, you got nice nose shadow. There's good softness. You're reaching around to that other cheek. You got that little bit of ambient day spilling in on the back. Like, it's all really well shaped. Bummer is super flat outside. So that's a bit of a drag. But you can't really fault you. You got your placement, which matches the light from before. You got everything going good for you here. She's in a nice spot in the frame. You chopped her head off. You're a little bit below, which is what I would go for too. I like it. I would just say, just imagine if this was hot. If this was just that little bit hotter. And imagine if this was just that little bit more down. This side of her face was just a little bit more down, and this one was in shadow. And she looked at the phone. And with the phone, I would probably say, why don't we, if we walk in a step, so we get a little bit tighter, the phone then, to get this exact same shot, has to come up to about here. Then her eye line goes from down here to a little bit more like that. Then what we would get is in that shadowy near side eye, we would get our little phone highlight, our little ping of light in the eye, which would make that shadow side not feel near as down. So different strokes for different folks. I'd want to see the eyes, basically, when she was looking at the screen. Okay, next one. All right, we got our man at night here. He's coming home. And night exterior, when you don't have a cherry picker, is always going to be difficult to get ambient. What you're going to have to do is exactly what Rick has done here. To get ambient, you're going to need to go flat. And when I say flat, that means the lamp is going to have to go on the ground or fairly close to the ground and flat. You look at, I've been watching the second season of Ozarks, and night exteriors done right, there is just that hint. I don't know how high they have those lights at night, but the night stuff, there is just that ambient wash over everything that is just at the perfect level. And that's really how, that's how that look is you can only accomplish that look with cherry pickers. So when you don't, you have to do this, which is when you get this sandwichy side light. It's not bad. It's definitely not bad. I'll tell you what I like about this shot is the layers. This shot without this light in the shot would be super, super boring. But you just pepper in a little highlight in the background, and it's not really, what is it lighting up, this light? It's maybe lighting that little thing. It's giving this a little edge. So it's not actually filling up a lot of volume, but it makes a big difference because it really shows you just how dark just next to it is. That's what I like. The composition is great. And even for flat lighting, it's nice that you got this hard light coming from here. I like this thing. This, in the land of commercials, this is probably where you end up, but it's a lot of fill. It's a lot of fill, and there's a lot of level on that wall. Just again, to try and get contrast, I would, I don't know. I would try not to hit that wall with as much fill, and I would try to take this fill down. Because, yeah, and then again, so you're here, if we take away this fill light, let's say we take away that fill, and now it's really contrasting on that side. The contrast isn't that bad if we make up for it with more edge. So what you would have to do is you'd have to, if you don't have a cherry picker, you have to menace arm in a edge there. That's it. And then you can let him walk through it. You have it missing high. So if it's, let's just say we pan the camera, or we tilt the camera up, and there's our sky panel. You wouldn't really use a sky panel on a menace arm unless it was a serious setup. That's a big ass heavy light, but let's just say it's sky panel. And you have a little grid on it, so it's not going everywhere. When I say miss high, it means that you want just the bottom of the lamp hitting the top of his head, and you want all the other level going over here. Because if you miss low, then you're going to feel the light in the shot. You want to miss high so that you don't feel the level hitting the ground. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody, because I'm always saying, a lot of the time on set when you're communicating with your gaffer or the spark, whoever's at the lamp, and you're trying to communicate where you want the thing, you go over there and you hold your hand where you point, or you're looking at it, you go a little bit left, a little bit right. But if I'm at the camera and someone is adjusting things, I'll just say, you miss left, miss right, easier to direct the beam that way, I found. Okay, that's that shot. Okay, here we are again in a situation that is difficult. And you've done some good things here, right? Nighttime, you have to get those layers of darkness and light. And to get those layers of darkness and light, you need highlight in the background. And you need not the same level in the background. So this is good. These things are great in the background. That differentiates things. This wall that's a tough sell. And then this light that's just a fuckload of fill. That is a shitload of fill. And I don't think it helps. I think maybe a little edge would help. But that much fill, it looks like, it almost looks like you've got just a V either side of the camera pointing directly at them with the same lights, right? So there's not a lot of contrast. You got a nice eye light though. I think this is supposed to be fire. This light, if I remember the ad correctly. I think it's supposed to be fire. So I would just say go darker, man. Go fucking way darker. And if you're on set and they're like, oh, it looks a little bit too dark. Yeah, with the Alexa, if you underexpose and you can't bring it back, even to like a reasonable area, man, you have fucked up so bad. You can almost make it completely dark and you can get it back. It's really hard to do. So if you're getting complaints from people on set like, oh, maybe it should be a little bit darker, more filled in. If you're going to fill in, like say you put up this lamp. Let's get rid of this lamp, right? It's not there. Say you put this one up and they're like, oh, it's not feeling right. It feels a little bit too moody. Just keep going. Keep going with that lamp. So go like this. And then they're like, oh, it's hitting, say that lamp is hitting here. They're like, oh, it's too dark, on this side of his face. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look like nighttime. Well, put one directly above the camera. Put a 4x8 poly. Bounce a 2K into it. And then dim it until you feel right. And then if they say, oh, it's still too dim, you bump it up a little bit. And then you back the thing up a little bit. So you're more wrapping what you've already got there as opposed to two sources. Right? Because the two sources feels a little bit funky. And then, of course, if you're going nighttime, I would have a little bit harder moon edge on him there. Okay, what do we got? Two more. Okay, here we go. Airport shot. Now we're talking. This is, if we're in an interior, we're trying to fake day. I would say the only thing would be, but this has really been the vibe of the whole commercial, I would say just more contrast. So darker. And this is maybe a grade thing as well. Just darker in here. You can keep those same level of highs like that. Whoo! Give me something like that. Nice shape on the face. And it's also easier to see the shape if we go a little bit darker. The blacks, we set the blacks where they should be. The darkness here, that's where it should be. It's all good there. This is nice. This is, now we're getting into the nitty gritty of what is good and what is not good. I probably would take this level down. We don't need as much level in that bag. Unless the commercial is about the suitcase. I would probably say take that down. But other than that, I really like this shot, right? You got something big over here. It's lighting her up. You got nice edge on this lady here. You got a nice little edge on that hot spot. You just see the contrast. You got light shoulder, you got dark, you got light, something in there. Then you got lit up, then you got dark, then you got a little edge. This, I'm not crazy about that background, but what are you going to do? I would probably take whatever light is over there and just point it at these people. So again, they walk in from darkness into light during the shot. You time that up with the first AD. Easy to do, but I like the frame. You got interesting shit in there. Leading line, she's right in the exact right spot. There she is, smack bango on that line. All good there. And I've seen the frame before, but if I saw this in a storyboard form, I would know we got ourselves a very killer product shot here coming up because she's holding with the left already, which means she's holding with the arm closest to the light, which means when we come over here with the camera and we're looking this way, see, that's a camera. Airy. That's our little lens there. I know that we're going to be looking in the right direction, right? All just from blocking. Has nothing to do with lighting. So let's see. Let's see if I'm correct. Oh, what happened? Damn it. What happened? How did we go from what happened to that beautiful contrast? What happened to that crunch? It's nice. It's just really, really soft. And there's not a lot. It looks like you've added another light back here behind the camera. What I would want is that this edge that's happening on the phone, that's what you want happening this way too. And you could easily get that if you have this level in the background is a little bit hot. I say take that down half a stop. Bring in the light that is lighting all of this now, and probably your phone, even though this looks like a 4x frame just out of shot, which is the right thing to do from my perspective. I would say bring the 4x frame so it's over here. It will still reach over there, but then you start to get this looping, this light just coming around the corner. Like you can almost see it there. It's there. It's just here. You see that? That little edge? And then into that darkness. But it feels like we got a poly going back this way, which I don't think we need. Like this level's nice by the camera, like literally right by the camera lens, because you probably couldn't sneak a poly in there because it's too close. That's the level that you want. If anything, make this, you know, add darkness to it, like add neg to it. Pull that down. I mean, that's, you can, at least you can see the light a little bit easier if you go more contrasty. You know, you can see where the lighting is happening. That's what we're trying to exaggerate, this effect. You just be trying, and you know, you can see that this is definitely quite sourcey as you start to crunch. Anyway, that's what I would do. I think I mean, there was some good looking stuff in there. Would you agree? I liked it. Definitely some good stuff. Good job, Rick, I would say. But there are things in there that I would be, if I was looking at my own project, I'd be like, man, I can do that better. I think I can get better at that bit. And hopefully you think the same way. Okay, Nicholas. Seems like adding more contrast is a recurring theme on the live stream. Yeah. I would say so. But if you look at a lot of low budget shit, if you look at a lot of beginner stuff, especially night stuff, it's always too filled in. Because the concept of depth through contrast in a dark scene, you need those hot highs. If you don't have those hot highs, and then you're just like, man, why is it so dark? The answer is, well, let's just fill it in. Let's just put more light up there. And that more light is never the answer. It's always like, okay, this isn't working because it should always be, this isn't working because we got too many lights up. We need to find a better angle for the camera and the light relative to each other, or we just need more specular bits. We need more variance. Anytime you get just a wash of anything, you're like, fuck, this looks like shit. It's not interesting. And that's what we should be. Hopefully, that's what we should be fighting against. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else got any questions? It doesn't even have to be about this particular breakdown. It can be anything. We can chat things through. Next week on the show, friend of the show and guest, Matthew Ballard. Matty Ballard, who just got done shooting the Prince video for Solomon, which is fucking pretty good. I don't know if anybody's seen it. I saw about 15 seconds of it. Looked good, shot on film. Looks like a lot of the stuff now that's shot on film. You know, there is that look. By the way, has anybody noticed that the cinematography now is so much better than 10 years ago? Like even the people at just normal levels, not even the good people. You look at some of the old movies, probably when you were a kid you saw it, it looks like shit. Because it took so long to test and find your eye. Now it makes it much easier, even when people go back to shooting film. Even when younger cinematographers that grew up on digital go then to shooting film, your eye is so much better. So that's something that I've noticed. I'm sure other people picked it up. So Matty Ballard on the show. He is also one of the people when we were in LA. He knocked on the door. I was like, dude, I don't have any money for the Boy Scouts. Fucking dude is like 18. I don't know. He's probably like 25. But Jesus, man. Super young. Okay. So he's next, and then I don't know, maybe Guillermo Garza, who's probably if I was going to pick a cinematographer who was my favorite right now, I had to go out and shoot a commercial, I would probably choose Guillermo. Number one, because he's a fucking really cool dude, just giant beast of a Mexican guy that has a great accent and speaks real cool. But he also does really good work. So Guillermo Garza, he'll probably be on the show after Maddie Ballard. But either way, those are the next two interviews that are coming up. And yeah, we'll probably be doing, as it stands, right now the live stream will be on the same days. Let's do, should we do questions? What do we got here? Okay. Ricardo, Sun Sandwich is everywhere. This is true. You can make a lot of money too. I mean, people think, much in the same vein that we were talking about with Dimitri, you don't have to be good to make money as a cinematographer or to be a professional. Like, there's a lot of people who think stuff that looks like shit looks good. So, basically, if you suck, don't fear. It's all about personal connections anyway. You can be the world's greatest cinematographer if nobody knows you. And if nobody likes you, you're a piece of shit. You don't get a job. Okay, Ricardo, I am wondering how to make your talent look good with side lighting and more contrast. Seems like when I go for mood, my ladies look worse. Well, I mean, there's so many variables to that. Side lighting. How do I explain this without an example? What makes ladies look like shit is hard light. Hard light, bad makeup is always a bad combination. I think the idea would be that you do the same thing that I just talked about, in that you wrap over the camera. You see I'm sure everyone knows Roger Deakins' form, and everyone sees that he will post examples, and he used to post lighting setups way back in the day, like 2009, I want to say. But he stopped doing that. But a lot of the times what he does is he won't do fill, but he will do maybe just ambient above camera. A 4x8 poly just above the camera. If there's no light going into it, it's still level. And it's it's much more subtle than placing something, placing something here, as opposed to just wrapping it that way. I'd say that, and then you got to get this light. You got to get that in the right spot on the ladies, because a foot this way or a foot that way, it ends up looking like complete ass. So you can get contrast in there, but it's, you want to avoid the push this way. And, of course, softer is better for making people look nice. Okay, what else we got? Timothy Morgan, can you draw me a drop and squish hand-drawn diagram? Can I draw you a squeeze and drop? Is that what you're asking? Man, what? Block battery again? Okay, you want to see the squish and drop. Is that what you're asking? Okay, well, while Timothy answers, I'll answer, was this Zvonimir's question? Zvonimir. I like that. That's like Van Hazel. Drop that last name. Merkovic. You don't need it. You go straight with Zvonimir. I mean, I'd want Zvonimir to shoot my stuff. What is my go-to eye light? I've talked about this before on the podcast. Go-to eye light is, without a doubt, the easiest way to do it if you're in a tungsten environment, which is a lot of the times when you need an eye light, is an old school tungsten dado light. The dado light you have, I'll do a closer example. And let me see. There's a little cup like this, but it's frosted and it's plastic. Does everybody know those cups? You can get them anywhere. Any supermarket will have frosted cup. It's smaller than this. It's a little 8-ounce size. You take that, you put it on top of the dado, upside down. I'm gonna get coffee everywhere. You turn this upside down. You put that on top of the dado light, and you have the dado light shooting up, the cup upside down on top. That creates this glow, right? of not hotspot, just light going everywhere. You put a little bit of black wrap around the side facing camera. You have it just on top or just below, depending on the framing and where the person's looking. You have it just on top or below the camera. And then you dim it down all the way down until it is literally just a ball of the littlest amount of level you can get. And the key to the eye light, which is counterintuitive, is you need to have a shitload of light pumping on the person to have an eye light. Because if you don't, if you're in really moody low levels, and then even if you add that little dado light just next to camera, just get it next to the lens, that it will just wash out all your lighting. So you have to have the ratios really pumped up camera side so that then you can bring in a little bit of level and it won't fuck everything else that you're doing. Okay. Okay, that's it. Oh, squeeze and drop. Let's see, where would be a good example for the squeeze and drop? There's no real good examples in this situation. I mean, oops, let's try. I'll try and show you with this one. Let's just say, where's our levels? So this is, I mean, this is already squeezed. It just hasn't been dropped. Let's just say that the LUT on set is showing you that. This is what you get back in the dailies. Okay? What you would then do is you reduce the contrast because the dailies LUT will be super crunchy. You reduce the contrast. That's actually making it greater. You bring that down. You bring that up. And you drop. I mean, you can't really, you have to be in resolve. You're basically, you're taking the airy LUT, which is crunchy. You just ever so slightly reducing the contrast. But then as you reduce the contrast, you don't want all of these filled in levels. Oops. You don't want all these filled in levels to get brighter. So then, to mitigate those getting brighter, you drop the exposure on the whole thing. Oh, where's exposure? Then you drop the offset on the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? Because you want to get those skin levels back to where you initially had them. Because all your ratios should be right. It's just getting that density in the shadow, getting that, it's just more transfer, more, a longer, oh shit, where's the, let's go back to levels. Oops, and because I've done a level adjustment already, let's get rid of that. Get rid of this. Now we'll just look at this thing. Basically, it's getting this thing, this point, it's getting that shifted a little bit this way, and then getting this transition longer. So more detail in there. So this would be higher, and the transfer would slowly start to go down from there, you know, as opposed to having this rise up, which is a weird peak, and then down. You want rise up to peak, and then longer tail there. That's what I'm saying. That's the example of the squish and drop. Okay. Zvonimir, where do you prefer to place the eye light on? Yeah, that's where it depends. It's more not where you place it in the eye. I mean, that is important, but it's where they're looking and what they're supposed to be looking at, so it's all contextual. But that little dado light trick will work in any direction on any of the eyes. So that would be my advice. Okay, we did it. Many thank yous. If there's no more questions, that's it. I will see you in next week's podcast. Again, hold on. No, next week is a breakdown. Shit. I told Matt his podcast is next week. Next week is a breakdown, then Matt. So we got a breakdown next week. And the breakdown is, Master Anamorphics again. Master Anamorphics shooting at nighttime and trying to get some contrast. This will be good. It all ties in with this shot. Yeah, shooting at nighttime with anamorphics, trying to create some contrast, using haze, using colored lights. It's all happening. Okay, that's it. Thank you, Ricardo. Thank you, Zvonimir, and Timothy. Everybody else, good times. We'll see you in... When will we see you? Yeah, on next week on the live stream. Again, oh, by the way, people sent in some amazing shit for the live stream. I wish I could get to them all. But just keep sending the projects in. Even if I didn't get it this time, just do it again next week. And I'm going to try and get to your project, okay? But good work. A lot of really cool stuff coming through. Exciting to see. And lots of people using the techniques that we're talking about. So, okay. See yous.